Hello, beautiful people, welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, I'm bringing you my guest, Emma. She's a holistic wellness coach that is based in Melbourne. She provides Ayurvedic health coaching and energy healing. I'm not surprised that she has helped so many people to feel more confident, to tune in with themselves, to discover more about their body, to be more calm, to be more mindful. She is amazing. I thought now would be a great time for me to show her service with more people. I'm not sure about you, but I feel like there are still a lot of people out there that feel the uncertainty. Well, at the end of the day, we don't know how long this isolation is gonna last. And yeah, there is a lot of uncertainty out there. But really though, I feel like generally we don't really tune in with ourselves. We don't really ask ourselves, how are we? And we don't really listen to our body. It's okay, I don't blame you. I was like that for years. But really, the self journey is a never-ending discovery anyways. I'm learning more about myself every day. We have been living in this very fast-paced world where we are trained to go, go, go. And I feel like some people may be finding it hard to calm down and tune in with themselves. Now is a really good time to tune in with ourselves, to connect within. And so if that is something that you would like to do and you want to understand yourself a bit more, this will be a great episode for you. But if you feel like this isn't your cup of tea, please share with someone who might need it. Or continue watching because you might learn a thing or two anyways. So enjoy the interview, guys.
Cool, how are you going?
Good. Please tell me, how are you? How are you dealing with the isolation situation?
Yeah, it has its ups and downs, like I'm sure lots of people are experiencing right now. I think there's two parts to it. It's there's the really nice side, which is when you're sort of able to do all these things like baking and just take time to spend, with your pets or your roommates or your family, whoever you live with. But then there's obviously that downside of actually not being able to see people, and you might have lost your job or just the uncertainty of this time. But I feel like I have ups and down days.
Yeah. Like a normal person.
Yeah, like a normal person, thanks.
Well, while we're on that topic, how do people deal with uncertainty? How do people overcome fear?
Yeah, well, I think it depends on who you are as a person and what kind of fearful situation this is. So for example, what we're in right now, this is something collectively we're going through, and I feel that can help people because it's not it's just happening to you. Because when it's just you, sometimes you can feel really alone. Whereas and that it can be hard to sort of try deal with that fear. But when there's a lot of people going through the fear and the uncertainty and everything this pandemic's bringing, it really shows, we can connect to each other on that. There's so many people out there putting out free yoga, meditation, there's talks, there's all this connection that helps people, I feel during this time actually deal with it.
Yeah.
And that's just as a collective. On a personal kind of note for people, depends how you're feeling, what's actually causing you that fear within that moment. It might just be you're really scared of actually getting sick, or it could be that, you've got financial fears because of the economy, or, you may have lost your job or things like that. So there's different ways of how you're dealing with it. But I feel the big one is really coming back into yourself, and limiting what could be triggering the fear as well. So if you're constantly watching the news or chatting about the negative side effects of everything that's happening, it's just going to be adding wood to your fire. If you're constantly building up that fear. Whereas, for me, I've had to sort of step away from a bit of social media, unfollow a few people for the time being, just because I can't handle too much of that just in your face. The same with the news, I'll stay up to date with, law changes and stuff, so I don't get arrested if I do something, but basic things, just like stepping away, practicing gratitude, just focusing on the small day-to-day steps, I think is a big one.
Yeah, I love it. Because the reason I brought that up is because those who are not following you, that you actually offer a service. Would you like to tell people more about that?
Sure. Well, through my business, Awaken Your Wild, I'm a traditional Indian medicine practitioner, and I do also a lot of energy healing. So I offer like consultations, which right now obviously we're doing through Skype and things like that. But going through and being able to talk about what's happening, tune in to your specific needs, and then working within that. So, if it's triggering something that's coming up for you, then we go and delve into that and see what that's connected to. If it's connected to like a past memory, it could be a belief system. It could just be, something generational, something you've picked up from just generation and generation. And so we go in and deal with that, and we can go through in the health and lifestyle perspective. So you're going through your diet, going through what you're actually doing during your day, and then also on the energetic side, so working in with your emotional, energetic body as well.
I love it. And because you just mentioned that people can do it through Skype, because I remember that you used to do workshops. Is that the only way that people can connect with you now, like online?
Yeah, pretty much just online at the moment. I mean, because of everything that's happening with the pandemic, I've just sort of closed off everything just for safety reasons. So at a workshop, it's usually in an enclosed space, and you've got a multiple people and things like that. But yeah, just at the moment, I think this is also a time for people to really step into their own power as well. So that's what I love to do anyway. It's helping to awaken that wild power within you, which is why my business is called Awake Your Wild. Because we have this innate power within us, and it's just having a safe space to work within that and help acknowledge and build that up, so then you are able to help deal with what you're going through and help heal it yourself, just with a bit of a guiding hand.
Yeah. For those who might not be able to afford this kind of service, like where would you direct them to help themselves?
So for the big one right now is really the little basic things that you can do. So things like guided meditations on like free apps, things like Insight Timer, or even YouTube. There's so many amazing people putting out very specific meditations for right now, like helping to deal with, just calming down or things like that. But if you've got something like financial fears coming up because of what's happening, there's, you can literally Google, meditations to help release some of that fear and deal with that emotion. And sometimes they'll go to the root cause and help you. It's the same thing. It's like another guiding hand. But that's a bit more basic, so you're not going to be getting it maybe tailored for you, but you can still use things like that. And just basic things, like getting out in the sun, disconnecting from anything that could be triggering you off, having some boundaries. I think boundaries is a really important thing right now, because you might feel like, in isolation, that you don't have to put up boundaries because you've kind of got like a physical boundary around you. But during this time, we've got so much access to the rest of the world through technology. It's really putting in that boundary for yourself and saying, you know what, I don't need this today. It's not being unaware, it's just putting more awareness into you and how you're going to be going and coping.
Yeah, while we're on this boundary topic, like for some people, they don't really understand like boundaries, like what kind of boundaries they need to put up. Like
things for boundaries, like for me, like I've really had to, I try not to right now, like if people are talking too much about the pandemic or any fear base that's happening with that, like I'll just be like, I just put a real stop to it pretty fast. I just say, I do acknowledge what's going on, but right now I'm not in a space that I can be sort of fueling this too much. Like I'd rather, and then just steer the conversation into something else, either literally saying it, like, let's talk about something else, something more positive, or, you know, just basic things, or just trying to steer it somewhere else. So that's just a boundary, or for yourself, you know, putting a time limit on how much you actually you know, use social media at this time, if you do follow a lot of people who are posting about it or things like that. So things like that are just like some basic boundaries. It's just sort of putting your own respect, like what, you know, a boundary is like what people have to respect if they're going to interact with you, or within yourself as well, because you can have your own self boundaries. So
yeah, I love the way how you just put it, because before all this happened, like I have been learning how to put boundaries up. For example, like those people who don't really serve me, the news that I watch and stuff like that. Like I follow this Instagram, this person on Instagram. Her name is Dr. Nicole. I don't know if you have heard of her. Her handle is the holistic psychologist, and she talks. And she talks about like how she has to put a boundary out between her and her family, because really what they were giving her is like dragging her down. And I think that part is so hard for people, because how do you say no to family, really?
Oh no, exactly.
Yeah, and especially during this time, like some people, they have to live at home, and it's like, okay, so really how do you put that boundary up?
Yeah, well, I think it's you know, sometimes these boundaries can be hard, especially like you said, if it's with someone you're close with. Sometimes when it's like, you know, some random, you're like, okay, whatever, like I'm probably never gonna see you again. But when it's someone who you interact with daily, or someone, you know, really important to you, like your family member or a really close friend, that can be hard. But it's also like, it's coming in from a space of like a heart space, and really saying, you know, this is what's going to be serving me right now. Like, I need you to acknowledge that and like love and respect me enough to then go forward with this. And, you know, sometimes people are going to struggle with it. But the thing is it's not selfish to put yourself in a self-love and respect position, because you're not denying them like connection with you, but you're just putting a bit of like a rule guide in terms of, you know, we want this to work, but we need that communication that, you know, it's not just anything goes.
Yeah, definitely. And so you would guide people through this with your service too?
Of course, whatever is sort of needed, you know, because people go through so many different things. So if you're needing something like that, or, you know, some people right now all of a sudden are finding they're having to cook for themselves a lot more and don't really know what to sort of handle and what's good for them and things like that. So, you know, I can guide you in that direction, and everything like that.
Yeah, I love it. While we're on the food topic, I remember when you had the workshop, when you had your studio, you were selling tea.
Yeah.
Would you like to tell people more about that?
Yeah, of course. So I sell, as part of the product range, is an Ayurvedic wellness tea. So if you don't know much about Ayurveda, it's traditional Indian medicine, and it is one of the oldest still practiced holistic healthcare systems in the world, and it's very seasonal based. So it really goes along with the seasons and sees us as humans as part of the natural ecosystem. And so whatever's happening within the season around us, that's happening within us as well. So right now in the Southern Hemisphere, we're in autumn. It's a real time of transformation and change. I mean, same with this, with up north as well. They're in spring, about to transition into winter soon, but they're still in a transitional stage. So autumn and spring are very transitional stages, because we're either going into winter or we're coming out of winter. So it's this awakening or closing down period. And so I've created teas that go from winter, spring, summer and autumn, and they've got beautiful herbs and spices that they're organic, they're wild, handcrafted, and they help to balance you during that time. So during winter, it's a very drying time. Not winter, autumn. It's a very drying time. So, you know, we've got the leaves starting to change. You might find your skin and your hair gets a bit drier. You know, you're trying to be a bit warmer because the weather's starting to get a bit different, a bit dry. It's a little bit more wind or a bit of rain.
Yep.
And so I've created this tea with the tea company Tea and Grace, who is an award-winning Australian tea company who helped me to design these teas. So this is, just happen to have one here. So this guy here is the Awesome Wellness one. So just to give you an example, so this one has ingredients of honeybush, linden, lemon myrtle, cinnamon, rose hips, eucalyptus, caraway seeds and cardamom. And all these herbs and spices are really warming and grounding, which is what we need during this time in the phase of autumn.
Yep.
So it's just beautiful, like a way to have, you know, a cup of tea is one of the easiest things you can do. And it's brewed, it's that beautiful time of allowing that mindfulness to come through as well. So it's taking a whole moment, if you can, especially during this time, you know, to just brew your tea. It like brews for about 5 minutes. You just sort of can allow that, you know, just take a time to breathe while it brews. Inhale the aroma, have that moment to just hold it and then taste and just allow that beautiful goodness to just soak through you and ground you. And I like to have mine, like, especially now, I mean, not today, I'm in a t-shirt, but like, you know, it's been pretty cool down here in Melbourne. So I've been, you know, rugging up and having that cup of tea, you know, under a blanket, looking out the window, just taking that little moment for me, which is lovely.
Yeah, I think people underestimate how, like, what we digest into put in ourselves is gonna like mess up with our whole body as well. People can purchase the tea from you, hey?
Yes, definitely. So if you're interested, you can just direct message me on Instagram or send me an email at the moment, just because it was sold through the wellness clinic, but because of everything that's going on, that's currently not available. And I don't actually have an online shop, so, but it is still for sale. So they're just $25 and you get like a beautiful package, and it lasts you the whole of the season as well, which is perfect.
Yeah. I'll put all the details down in the description below. What would you suggest people to eat more now? We're going into autumn.
So right now, like, one of the best things you can do is, because it's really seasonal based, Ayurveda, and that's how we process, like, us as natural humans throughout history, we're very seasonal. Like before we had supermarkets and the ability to buy an orange like 24/7, you know, 365 days a year. You know, you had to wait for that orange to go on the tree, if it was even in your region. And so our bodies as humans, as part of that natural ecosystem, we thrive off seasonal foods. We thrive off eating local produce, eating food that's currently in season, because that's then taking on the energy of that season. You know, through winter, oranges are at their peak. Especially here in Melbourne, and that is, if you look at an orange, it's actually the energy behind it, it's a very warming fruit. So the energy behind it will keep you warm. It's really high in vitamin C, so that's really good for winter. Like, that's when you want that immunity to be building up, whereas in summer you're not going to really be wanting a really warming sort of fruit. You're more likely to go with a cooling fruit during that time. So my advice for things like that would actually be to check your local seasonal guide. So wherever you're located, I know, like in Australia Organic does a monthly, so every month what's kind of in season, but you can still go even more direct, go to your local state. I often go just to the Melbourne site and have a look at what's in season, and it's really good. You can, you know, even if you're still shopping at like Coles and things like that, I mean, you might not be now, but you might be doing orders. You know, you can check your lists, see what's in season, then you can order that. It doesn't mean you can't not eat in season. You know, if you really, really want something and it's sitting there still eat it. It's not off or anything like that. It's just having that awesome balance, because when you eat, especially seasonal, like if you go for like a local produce box, things like that from your local farmer's market, if it's available, all that is in your local area. You're going to be benefiting from the bacteria, from the energy behind the things that's growing in that local soil, which, you know, if you look at the whole system, the bees are helping to, you know, pollinate that area, all that energy and bacteria in the soil and all the good microbes, they're all coming up and coming to you, and you live within that sort of ecosystem. So it's going to benefit you then, you know, if I'm eating something that's, you know, wild asparagus from America, like, not like, it's still amazing, but I don't live there. I don't have any sort of relation to a northern hemisphere sort of ecosystem currently. So things like that is always a really cool thing. And just warming things, like if you're cold, think of something really warming. Like if you need to be more grounded, maybe you can have like a really hearty stew or soup and like big chunky bread or something that's going to keep you really grounded. You know, if you're really cold, going for like a cold salad and like a cold juice probably isn't going to be amazing, because you're just putting like cold on cold.
Yeah.
And it's going to knock you out and aggravate you. So, you know, have something warm. You don't like feel cold and then go have a cold shower and jump in the snow, like, and then be like, oh, why am I warming up? Like, I feel awful. Like, of course you will.
Yeah. So basically, people should look up their local seasonal produce guy.
Yeah, for sure. It's just a great way to see what's in season and what you can do. And then, you know, eating sort of plant-based sort of food is also really amazing. But whatever you're eating, I always say my number one tip is no guilt. Like, don't feel guilty about what you're eating, especially during this time. I've had, you know, so many people joke, like, I'm either gonna like come out of here like super skinny or like really obese because like I'm eating so much.
Yeah.
Or like I can't afford food, so I won't be able to like eat. But, you know, at the same time, like, give yourself a break. Like, this is a time of, don't feel guilty. I mean, if you're just eating Cadbury's Easter eggs, maybe like have a look at your choices. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you know, I've been eating choppy eggs like it's Easter. Like, of course I am. Like, yeah. And I'm not worried. You know, I'm making sure I go for a walk with my dog. You know, I'm still eating some healthy foods, and, you know, the guilt that can come behind being like, oh, I ate a muffin, or I ate takeaway Kentucky Fried or something. Like, the guilt behind that is going to do so much worse to you than actually eating whatever you ate.
Yeah.
So,
because your body like reacts to that reaction. Is that why? Or
yeah, well, I mean, if you, for example, like if you ate a muffin and then you felt really bad that you ate this muffin and you're like, oh, it's my calories, or this happened, or I'm gonna be really big now, or it wasn't healthy, you know, that threshing and like feeling of guilt is playing over and over, and your body is reading into that. Your body hears everything you think. Yep. And so that reaction is putting a real negative fear-based energy into you. Whereas that muffin is probably like processed and gone out like within, you know, a few hours. Like, it really isn't hanging around. Whereas that guilt can hang around for a really long time. And then you might be like, oh, I have to then do this and eat really healthy, or I have to go for a run. And then you're putting extra strain on yourself. Whereas your body in the end didn't like give a rat's about that muffin. Like, it probably was like,
yeah. For those who are watching and listening, this is something that you actually can help people go through with your energy healing side of it too, hey?
Yeah, definitely. So it's all about like your mindset and working within that. And if you have like programs running, so, you know, things that like, if you think of your mind a little bit like a computer, you know, we can have so much going in there, but it doesn't mean you want all that stuff running in there. You know, you might have viruses hanging around, you might have like corrupt files, and if you don't deal with them, eventually it starts to have an impact on your computer. So
yeah. And while we're on the energy healing topic, how would you suggest people to take care of their mental health and like continue to work on a healthy relationship with themselves?
Yeah, well, I think like this one takes time. This is definitely just like any relationship. It takes, you know, a lot of, you know, effort and progress to make it work. You don't just like rock up and you're like, best friends, like let's do it together. Especially if you do have a bit of an up and down relationship with yourself. But looking after your mental self during this time is obviously super important. And for me, I found like the easiest ways is just the simplest things. It's things like, you know, focusing on the little positive things about yourself. It's practicing gratitude. So gratitude is one of my main things that I've really found has had a really profound impact on my life. And, you know, I'm not there every day being like, today I'm grateful for this, and like making it this huge thing. It's more like making it just a daily, easy practice. Like if I want to sort of do it that day, yes. If I'm feeling really bad and, you know, craggy and just not happy, I'm not going to sit there and be like, what am I grateful for? Like, you don't need that pressure. Like sometimes you need to just work that other emotion out, and maybe writing that down instead. Like why happy or why you're feeling the way you are. And sometimes you just might need to, you know, scoff some teddy bear biscuits sitting on the couch, like watching some Netflix. Sometimes, you know, you just need to do that for your mental health, and that's totally fine. Sometimes you might want to do a yoga session, or you might just need a big hug from someone, or so just looking after yourself. And just the little simple things, like, you know, if you find your daily coffee is your favorite thing, make it an occasion, make it something special that you really look forward to, and then it brings you that peace and that happiness, because that's going to help balance and saying, you know, like, I deserve this is like important to me, I acknowledge, you know, that this is going to help me feel really good, and, you know, the effects of it. So
yeah, what are you doing daily right now to make yourself feel like calm and happy and positive?
Well, right now I mean, it sort of changes day to day, but I always try, you know, to hang out with my dog. He's like my, if you're like a, you know, animal lover, he's clearly like my little best friend. So, you know, we're always going for a walk right now, or playing outside. I always try to get some nature time in. I'm a real nature person, and I think as humans as well, you know, we were born in nature originally. We were part of nature, and we still are. We just, as humans, have a different take on it these days. But that doesn't mean our roots haven't changed, or have changed. So I try, you know, get a bit of nature in, even if it's, you know, in my garden, working in the veggie patch, or just sitting with the flowers, having a cup of tea. I'm trying to do some meditation. I don't do it every day because it's just not like something I'm doing every day, but, you know, if I feel like I need it, I'll do it. If you know, I like to do a bit of stretching or some yoga. I'm really into yin relaxation yoga, and I find that's really calming sort of at the end of the day. And then just sort of eating healthy if I can, and, you know, having a good laugh. I feel like having a good laugh daily is really important. So I'm always trying, you know, even if I Google funny things on YouTube, like if I need to learn some things like that, like I've got my go-tos that make me laugh, and so I'm gonna go do that. You know, just to have that amazing chemical release of like having a good laugh. So
I think some people might underestimate how important it is to stay healthy and exercise, especially during this time, to keep your immune system up. Like, would you like say on that?
Well, I mean, definitely, like, the big thing is for, you know, we've got like eating healthy, we've got exercise, so moving the body. It doesn't have to be like extreme exercise, just going for a walk, having a stretch, having a funky dance party in your living room, or if you want to dance in front of your mirror, I do that all the time. But like things like that, like that's gonna get that movement. You know, eating healthy, you know, and that, like I said, that doesn't mean like you have to not have like some chucky, or, you know, if you want something else, like, but it's just incorporating that well-balanced diet. Eat the rainbow is my biggest thing. Like, make sure you've got like a lot of natural color. Like, don't eat a rainbow with jelly beans. Like, it's not the same. Like a rainbow, you know, like I like to have a really good stir fry. You know, I literally, like, my whole chopping board is like a rainbow, and I just chuck it all in. And it's just that real boost of all those nutrients from the different veggies and things like that. looking after like your mental state as well is so important. But also I think the big thing is right now, like it's such a fearful time. We've got so much going on, and the uncertainty and everything like that is actually feeling calm within that, because you could be doing so much for your health and got this amazing like health regime going on. But if you're getting weighed down by all this fear, that has a huge impact on your immune system, because if you're in like a panicky, fearful state, that then suppresses your immune system. And you know, in the long run, if you're in your fight and flight state of mind, which a lot of people are caught in at the moment, is that doesn't work well with your immune system, because your body's in a state of survival, and it's in that moment it's thinking, should I fight or should I run away? It's not thinking, like, digest my food and I should like get this like cells going and do this immunity. Like, it's not thinking that at that moment. It's like putting that to the side. That's not important if you need to run for your life. Like, it's not like we should definitely like digest that muffin we just ate. It's not anything like that. It's just like we need to survive. And so doing those things to calm your nervous system and feel safe, so that all those things like laughing, some yin yoga, meditation, being in nature, you know, having a good positive chat with someone, all of that can help to relieve that stress that's on you. And so I feel like that, along with the healthy regime, is the best way to keep your immune system nice and healthy.
Love it. Because right now I feel like people are actually finding a hard time to like slow down, because we have been trained to like just go.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's so hard for people to really just respect the isolation situation?
I think like you said, like we kind of have like evolved into such a fast-paced society, like in general. I mean, there's obviously some societies that are pretty chilled in different parts of the world, but I feel like a lot of times, especially like, for example, like in Australia, we're a very like go-get kind of place. We like to be out and about, we like to be active, whether it's like out in nature or out having coffee, you know, with friends. Like, we're very like that. And so all of a sudden when that gets taken away, if you're geared up to sort of live in that situation, being isolated is a real confinement. It makes us not feel good, and we've got all this like energy, this frenetic energy, which we want to use. So it's like, for example, if you constantly every single day went into like a dance club and you've got that like loud music and all this energy, if all of a sudden you got put out into like camping in the country, you wouldn't like, you would have no idea what to do, not in like a survival sense, but your energy would be like, whoa, like and so I think it's a slow process, but I think it's a good process, because I feel like on the whole, that's not how the human design is meant to be, in that frenetic state, on that like constant go. Because you know, then we get stuck in things like the coffee wine cycle, and you know, we've got to have a coffee to wake up, and then we're so geared up that we have to have like a wine to calm down, and then we get in this like cycle because we're geared up in this state. Whereas I've noticed, like, since I've stepped back from all of that, I'm a lot calmer. I still have times when I'm very like, woo, but you know, having that sort of ability to then drop back into yourself and have that alone time, I think it's really good that people will start to experience that, even though it might be a bit hard in the beginning.
Yeah, definitely. So for those who are watching and listening, please don't be too hard on yourself. And if you have any question, Emma is here, and I will leave your details down in the description. Before I ask my last question, is there anything else that you would like to share? About yourself or your service?
I think, if you're interested in the service, like, just, you know, send me an email or send me a direct message on Instagram. Otherwise, you know, just let yourself be during this time. This is a crazy roller coaster of a time. Like, for me, I keep getting like thinking back to, you know, people who lived through the Depression or lived through wars and all these kind of things, and other pandemics that have gone through the world. and that, you know, the world is still going. We've lived through them, they've survived, and we've come out of them, you know, in some ways thriving. So sometimes, you know, you need that big bam whack and like all this craziness to then calm down, and these amazing things can come out of it. It's like, for an example, like the bushfires that we've gone through here in Australia earlier this year. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It's like April, but you know, we had those fires, and even though the destruction behind them was horrific, and we had a really emotional, terrible time, and people have lost their homes and everything like that and their lives, but from the natural earth point of view, that breakdown of the trees and everything is now allowing the spurts of new growth to come up. So out of, you know, the ashes we rise, and I think that's going to be happening now. Like if you think of all the beautiful creative artists that are having time now to think about like amazing things, all the artwork that's going to come out of now, all the new connections, deep connections with, you know, the people you're living with yourself, all the inventions that I'm sure is going to come out of all this time, and just the amazing, you know, changes within society. I think, you know, my sister sent me a little picture this morning that was saying, you know, I think it was talking about how we don't need as much as we do to actually live a beautiful life. And I think that's what's going to come out of this. You know, all the beautiful changes we've already seen in the healing of the earth, since we're not flying as much and using as much of the natural resources. Like, I think, look at that, it's only been a few weeks and we've already seen massive changes. So can you sort of change a bit of our lifestyle to go on forward from that? So I think just allow it to be, and, you know, just look after yourself. No pressure on yourself. If you want to lie around this whole time, lie around this whole time. You know, be creative. If you want to, you know, cry, yell, dance, just let it out. Don't suppress it. Maybe don't yell at someone else, but, you know, yell into your pillow.
Yeah, I love what you just said. I love how you said we actually don't need a lot to be grateful about life, to have a beautiful life, because I don't know if you know, but I recently moved from Melbourne to Brisbane, and now I'm living out of my suitcase. So really, I have like limited stuff, but every day I feel like, wow, I'm so happy. See, like, sorry?
This is beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Like, the weather is amazing, so I feel so blessed about that. But yeah, like me living out of a suitcase, like with so limited stuff, I'm just like, oh really? Like, I don't need whatever, this and that. I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. It's like I open up a new chapter for myself.
That's so good. I think that's it. It's just the simple things to be grateful for really add up to a beautiful life.
Yeah, it does. Thank you so much, honestly, for your time and for your knowledge. I would like to ask my last question, which is, how can people help you, and how do you think we can help each other right now?
Helping me, I guess. I don't know. I don't know about me specifically, but I mean, as a whole, I think just doing what you can for each other. You know, I think a lot of people feel like they have to, you know, give a lot of money during this time, or I have to support all these businesses, you know, so they don't go under and all these things. But, you know, if you're not in a financial position to do that, then you don't want that extra stress. Don't give away your food money because you're feeling like you need to help, because there's so many other ways that, you know, you can help and support each other. You know, even just a friendly smile to someone on your little walk, or if you know, share someone's Instagram post, or, you know, just comment, have that connection with people. Reach out if you feel like someone needs a bit of a kind connection. You know, it's all about the little things. It doesn't always have to be financial, but, you know, if you're still fine financially, you know, you can still be supporting these businesses of people. But yeah, I feel like it's just supporting each other. That's the biggest thing I think's come out of this, is the beautiful support of humanity coming together, not just one country that when a crisis goes on, sometimes they come together. This is the whole world coming together. This is huge. Like, how often does this happen? Like, maybe the Olympics or something, but even then, that's not the whole world. Like,
yeah.
So it's beautiful to see that human community connection, because that's what we are. We're tribal people, and having that beautiful, loving connection to people can happen through so many different ways. And I think that's what we're starting to see, which is lovely.
Yeah, I love it. So go support other people with your smile, people.
Yeah, share, like that saying says, like, if you see someone without a smile, like, give them yours.
Yeah, I love it. Nice saying.
And smiling is contagious. So
yeah. Thank you so much for all that information. I really, really appreciate it. And I know that you're going to inspire so many other people. Yeah, that's it for today. And again, I'll put all your details in the description below. And I'll see you around.
All right. Thank you so much, darling.
No worries. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.
So how are you feeling? I hope you have enjoyed the interview and learned a thing or two. Maybe you have picked up a new habit. Maybe now you know more about seasonal food. Or maybe you learned that you need to be a little bit easy on yourself. Whatever it is, if you want to find out more about Emma, her details are in the description below. I am so lucky that I have crossed paths with her when I was living in Melbourne. I hope her story has inspired you. Don't forget to subscribe, click the thumbs up button if you have loved it, and remember, you are amazing and you are not alone. I'll see you in the next video.